Welcome to Movie Addicts. By the way, that is the name you do search when you look for the show. You don't look up Hertzing Presents, we look up Movie Addicts. Hertzing is the umbrella that we're under. I'm T-Mac, and this is Spicy. This is our third episode. And today we are very excited because we are talking about a movie that we've been planning on watching for about 3 months now, and it's The Joker. It's can't wait to start talking about it because that's going to be, I think it's a fantastic movie, just for the record. But we're going to, first up, we're going to talk about the upcoming movie that we're going to see, which is Gemini Man. We're going to actually catch a pre-screening of that tomorrow, which is fantastic.
Yeah, usually we have to watch them when everybody else watches them and then edit and do all that. And then this, luckily, hopefully, one of many, like...
Yeah, hopefully this is the train that continues and starts to snowball and we get a lot of earlier
releases. Like, cause
especially Mondays and Tuesdays, because if it's like we both work Wednesday, Thursday, so that's a little bit difficult to do this for free.
But yeah, like if we could catch them on Tuesdays, it's perfect, and then we could just edit and release actually the same when the movie comes out. Probably release on Fridays.
And you get the review before you have to see the movie even, which is ideally where we want to go with this. So we're really excited about that. The Gemini Man, that's with Will Smith. That's his upcoming movie. That's all I wrote for that. I didn't put. I thought there was gonna be. I thought I had another person or a director on it. I think Ang Lee directs it. And it's a.
Either way, on that one, I guess we'll get more information on what that review comes up.
So now it's time for the meat and potatoes of the show. The Joker.
And I guess we should start with, like, it's gonna kind of be a spoiler alert. We're gonna talk about the film, basically a review with some spoilers here or there.
I don't normally like to do this because I hate spoiler alerts, but I think to get the full for us to get what we want to say out and for you to digest what we're trying to say, it'd be easier to do a spoiler review for this one. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah, we were just discussing about like what we can and can't say and what we'd have to shy away from, and even when we do say some stuff out of context, it doesn't make sense until you watch it.
If you've seen this trailer, it gives you nothing. You know that he freaks out. Like, that's basically all you get from it. He's weird. The movie's way more complex than that. So we're going to dive into the pros and cons and things of that nature. So let's start off with the cast. So the cast is Joaquin Phoenix, Frances Conroy. She's the lady from American Horror Story, the older maid in the first season. Robert De Niro, who I was pleasantly surprised was in, but I don't think he added or subtracted from it.
I actually thought he added to it, but...
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
But we'll get into that.
And then Zazie Beetz, who is, if you ever seen the show ATL, it's...
the girl?
The girl that plays...
Domino.
Yeah, she's also Domino, but she plays Childish Gambino's girlfriend in ATL. It's directed by Todd Phillips. He did Due Date, Old School, The Hangover, Starsky and Hutch. All comedy, so I thought it was weird, this movie in particular, and I'll explain why in a bit. The producers, Todd Phillips, this is score producers, a bunch of names I don't know.
I think the dude that does the score is the one that did the score for Chernobyl. He's like, his name is like 80 consonants.
It's Hildur... blah blah blah. He's from Iceland. I looked him up.
Iceland. I thought he was Russian. I was like, I cannot pronounce that name.
No, I meant the producer though. It's Todd Phillips. Bradley Cooper is the producer on that. And then there's like 8 names I don't know, which happens a lot. So we'll get into some of the good and bad of this movie.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper. I did not expect that. Huh. Weird.
So,
alright. You want to start?
Well, yeah. I broke your notes out.
All
right. So I'm gonna start off by saying this is a lot of people are really digging this movie, or they're really not digging it. So it's super polarizing. I thought it was a very good movie. I do have issues with it. We'll talk about that in the following segment, obviously. I thought it held up to my expectations. I went in not having super high expectations, but I also went in thinking that Joaquin Phoenix was going to be nominated for an Oscar for this movie, and I still have that same feeling.
I can see that. Definitely.
Joaquin Phoenix, if anything, like last time we talked about Ad Astra and it's Brad Pitt's movie. This is Joaquin Phoenix's baby. You can tell. I mean, it's a lot of him. It's a lot of emotion, a lot of range. It's a jeez. He did a fantastic job making me believe that he was actually the Joker. When I go back and think about all of the Jokers that we've seen in other movies, other franchises, the cartoon even. He covered all of them. It's straight. Even the shitty Joker from Suicide Squad, he covered him as well. You know, like
I can see that. It's crazy because I was like, when did he get the comical one? And then in the beginning, when he's beat up, he hits the flower with the water. I was like,
when he's entertaining Bruce Wayne's son. Yeah. I mean, it's not Bruce Wayne. It's when he's entertaining Bruce Wayne.
Or when he gets fired, he's like, "Let me punch out."
Yeah.
And he's like, with the horn.
Yeah, like when he's walking down the hall and he laughs, and then he just goes straight face.
Well, that's a medical condition.
Yeah, I guess so. No, but the one where he's faking like he's laughing out at their joke, like I think that was the fakest of all the laughs, because I think he faked like he was laughing, and then he just was like, "Fuck them." Excuse my language. Sorry, we're trying to reduce that, by the way. Okay. So Joaquin Phoenix he nails that. I think I thought he was a fantastic choice. I thought from the minute he was introduced, I thought he was fantastic. So this didn't change. The movie felt and looked grimy. I thought it was fantastically shot. I think camera angles were on point for the scenes that they were trying to get to. I think the city looked fantastic. It made you feel like you were in Gotham. Yeah. I thought,
and even though they use like New York stuff, like obviously, or it was New York, New Jersey, whatever they used, like it still felt like it's like that, but it's not New York or New Jersey. It feels like its own city.
They even kind of use like New York, where they had the trash problem in the 80s or 70s or whatever time frame this actually falls in. They played on that a little bit. The big rats, like all of that. Like they had some fantastic. The subway scenes are just add to the movie. Like there's a lot of things where the minor detail in this movie is outstanding. I think that Todd Phillips did a great job capturing that.
Yeah, the city, like, it's weird because the city, obviously it's a city, it's big, but like when you think of the film, like it seems small, like the places that it was.
Yeah, it wasn't very many places that it's just like here and there.
Yeah.
The complexity of the characters is another thing that I really enjoyed. I don't think that every character was complex. I think that there was 4 characters. I think the Joker's clearly highly complex. I think Thomas Wayne is a complex character. I think his mom, I don't think she was that complex at all. But I do think that Robert De Niro's character is complex because he's like he plays a late night talk show host, and when he does his skit, like he doesn't want to make fun of people, so to speak, but he's a comedian, so he has to hit on certain jokes, especially about current events and things of that nature. And the comedy he does, I mean, he doesn't do a lot of like comedy skits. Like he just has like a quick one-liners, and they're all on point. They're all money. The comment on his is great. So I think that's fantastic too. And then the way he reacts once the Joker's on set, it changes. It's his true self, and then he goes, oh wow, this is a. Then I go, well, he did a great acting. I think as far as I just think that you can't ignore what Joaquin Phoenix brings to the table as far as like how he develops over the course of the film. Yeah. And you can really see like him going from a guy that just down on his luck to somebody that don't give a fuck anymore. Excuse my language, man. Who does not care.
Well, I think the first thing that I definitely want to say on this one is that it's like for any parents out there, this is not a kid's film. This is not a a DC or like a Marvel type franchise. This is not meant
It's
for
rated
kids.
R.
Is even Deadpool, who was rated R, it's still a little garnered towards teenagers or older kids. This is basically an adult film. Like this is a lot of acting. Probably if you take kids, they will not like it. Even though we did have a kid there,
And he laughed every time the Joker laughed.
laughed.
He was like
crazy as fuck.
It was weird. Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing that I got off the beginning. I was like, this is not a kid's film. Like, I'm not taking my niece to go watch this. Like,
Oh, yeah,
she
sure.
she'd probably be bored or creeped out, which is cool in that sense. The first thing that pops up when I watch it, like they stuck to this theme of like late 70s, early 80s, like they just stuck to it from the cars, the streets,
The clothing.
the clothing, the problems, the aesthetics. Even in the beginning when you hit the Warner Brothers logo, like I was like, that's not the original Warner Brothers logo. And I had to look it up, and I was like, yeah, that's like the 70s, 80s Warner Brothers logo. And I was like, oh, it's a neat, like, small detail that to me, it caught me by surprise. And I was like, did they switch to a new one? I was like, oh no, they switched to their old one.
It's like when you watch Gotham, the feel that you get when you watch Gotham, you can tell it's in the 80s-ish.
Yeah.
You know, like right around the turn of this, from the 70s to the 80s or somewhere like that.
Yeah, so basically, like, if this movie, you just took it back in time and released it in, like, late 70s, it fit right in.
Yep.
People would, there's no, like, there's CGI in the city, but, like, people back then would never notice that that's not a part of the city. Like, it blends in so smoothly, it just, everything's crisp. The other thing I liked is, like, the overall character development of the Joker. His, like, descent, basically. And I think that's portrayed by the stairs. In the beginning, he's just trying to cope and maintain and live in society, just to maintain. At one point, he asks for more pills because he feels like he's not holding it. He can't do it by himself. And then that's the same thing. I think that's what symbolizes that staircase that you see in the trailers, like him walking up and like trying to live life. And then at the end, he does not care and happily dances
when he's
down.
when he's going up the stairs, he's like lumbering, like it's a chore.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, it is not.
No, he's happy to go dancing and climbing and doing all sorts of things. Oh, another thing is that I do like that there is like a difference. If you saw the character of how Joaquin Phoenix played Arthur Fleck, like in the beginning of the first half, like, and then you just suddenly jump, say it was a different movie, you jump to the ending of the Joker. They're two totally different people. It's like you show the progression, and at the end they're totally two different people. They could have a conversation with each other, and you'd be like, oh, two totally different actors, two totally different people. Like their characters are that far in between. One's like meek, shy, like kind of childlike in a sense, and the other one is just more even like he has all the charisma in the world. Which shows when he comes out.
When he comes out,
He comes out as the Joker for the first time.
Which is a great scene too, by the way, because he's practicing at home how he's going to enter onto Robert De Niro's show, and he's super rigid and don't know how he's actually going to do it. Yeah. And then when he actually comes out, it's so smooth and clean and just like it's he's himself. You can tell, like it was
he's got all the what do you call it? Courage, and he's no longer shy. He no longer cares. I guess that's the theme. He doesn't care.
It has a couple of things to do. I mean, there was a couple of things that set it off that where he goes like from that too. Like it's like the lack of medication. He got cut off his medication, so therefore now the medication is not numbing his pain anymore. And he's been through some trials and tribulations with co-workers and just normal people in the city, which changes his concept of life too.
Yeah, and what else? Oh, damn it, I was hiding on the tip of my tongue. But also the thing that shows his progression is the dancing, which at first I didn't get.
Yeah, it was weird.
At the beginning, when he first hits, like I guess the snowball effect after the train incident.
Yeah.
Like I'm like he goes into the bathroom, he's like freaking out, thinking about what he's done. He just kind of goes into like a slow like dance, which is basically the one you see in the trailers.
Yeah.
But he's just like practicing it. It's slow. He has to think out every step. And then once he's coming down those stairs, he's just not even thinking. He's just going. Yeah. Going all for it. He does a triple pump.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And then like
it's just definitely threw a flag on that.
Yeah. And it just shows that like at the beginning I didn't know where he was going with it, and then as like as he goes through the movie, like the first one is slow, like he's thinking about it, thinking the next step, and then the next one he's like he's not thinking about it, it's going smoother. The third, it's just that dancing is all instinctive, and I think that shows this progression. The Joker's all instinctive, all psychotic, all just he doesn't think, he's just gonna do. Because it goes back to when he tries to do that big funny haha moment. Because they try to hit you with the foreshadowing with like maybe my life might make sense. It spells sense with sense. Money in my death.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, they're gonna foreshadow him, like.
Yeah.
I was like, that wouldn't make sense, but if you're foreshadowing this, you foreshadow, and they play that to the right before he goes on the thing. He like fake pretends to kill himself, and then at the end he's like, you know what? I'm not. I'm not.
I like me.
I like me now, how I am now. And yeah, just all those progressions, all those things, and then that's my okay. So with a little bit of cons.
Go with cons.
All right. I guess I had a lot more cons on this one. They're not big cons, but they're like.
So before we get into the cons, it's a little backdrop. Gammy had reservations about this movie, and his reservations were that the Joker doesn't need a backstory. And if they do give the Joker a backstory, they're going to go overboard, and they're going to glorify who is basically a sadistic, psychotic person. And when he said it, I was like, yeah, I didn't think that they would follow 100% true to that. But after seeing it, they definitely glorify the villain. They go as far as to cut out the actual bad parts that he does, because a lot of the stuff that he does seems like retaliation. They don't even really call him. They don't even call him a psychopath. They call him a vigilante,
which is Batman.
Which is Batman, exactly. So and people are following him and cheering for him and dressing like him and saying that he's rescuing the city. And
in a riot.
to top it all off, they made Thomas Wayne, the angel Thomas Wayne. They make him sinister. They make him, dare I say, douchey and aggressive, and they make him seem like he's an all-around bad guy. And you almost, when Thomas Wayne goes down, you almost don't feel sympathy for him if you watch it. If you're watching this movie and paying attention to how they're trying to record it.
Well, like, I guess in one timeline, Bruce Wayne dies as a kid and he does become an evil Batman.
Yes.
I guess if
this is that timeline, then yes.
I expect an evil Batman movie.
So they glorified him. They made Thomas Wayne seem like a D-bag. And I also can see how, like, with everything... I'm sorry, let me cover my mouth. With how everything is... going with the mental stress and the mental illness type of, I see how people are a little offended by this. I can see how it's rubbing certain people the wrong way, and I can see how people are trying to get this movie banned because it's not the most violent film I've ever seen, but the violence is there and it's prevalent. Like, it stands out in your head. Some of the action he create. The one act of violence that he commits that you don't get a chance to see, I don't know if you pay attention to this or not, but there's a girl that he is obsessed with. They don't show him doing the evil acts that he commits, but you know he does.
By like the immediate next scene, it's just like he's almost like coping with it, but he's just, it's not coping. He's more accepting of what happened, and he's accepting that stuff is almost, some of it's in his head. And then you just see the lights and the sirens. It just and at first I was like, oh, maybe he's getting arrested. I was like, oh no, those are ambulance.
And then there's also the scene where he at the very end, where he's in the psychiatric ward of the hospital and the lady's talking to him, and then they don't show what he does, but they show him leaving footprints behind, red footprints. Those are two acts that they should have showed that they didn't show because they don't want you to be against him. They want you to cheer for him, which I think is a weird concept. It's like they want you to rebel against society, because that's basically what he's about, is rebelling against society. And it's to cheer for the villain is. There's no good movie without a villain. And if I'm a wrestling fan, I cheer for the bad guy all the time. But in the end, you want the good guy to win. And this one seems like he was the good guy, and I didn't like that. That's all I have for that.
Oh, is it
We're gonna have to edit that part.
Oh, okay. The first thing that I didn't like about this, that like I don't even I have to look at my notes on this one, is the score. That one, this movie, mind you, is like it's a lot of acting. So there's not a huge script. A lot of it is just like applying makeup, him walking, like it builds the story without any
verbiage.
Yeah, verbiage at all. Like, and his interactions with other people was very minimum. Like, it's definitely a Joaquin Phoenix. Like, he has 85% of the dialogue in this movie or something. Like, and he doesn't talk to a lot of people because he is kind of an outcast, kind of a loner. Mostly because of like his mental condition, just
his upbringing.
They show that he was a form of child abuse, and they go crazy into that. How like it makes sense that he has all these mental issues that he's trying to like push down with, like,
which they're also defending.
Yeah, which they're trying to push down with all these pills and make him behave and be part of society, even though he's had all this trauma. And then what like breaks this the straw that broke the camel's back is that they shut down the funding that was helping him cope with this. The counselor he was seeing, but even that wasn't much.
Yeah,
because he's always saying he literally breaks down. He's like, you
don't listen.
You hear what I'm saying, but you're not listening to what I'm saying.
You haven't listened to a word I said since I've been coming here.
And at first, like that made me call back to the very first scene where he's like, oh yeah, I'm working on a comedic act. I'm pretty sure I told you about it. And she's like, no, you didn't. He's like, pretty sure I told you about it. And that just reiterates, it's like a nice little callback to the beginning where I was like, I didn't catch that, but I guess I didn't have to catch back because he's crazy, so he could not have told him. Could have been in his mind or whatever. But the score has to carry the movie in that sense because the score plays while you're watching all this happen. And to me, the beginning, I was like, okay, the score's kind of building, and even when they hit the title card, the Joker hit the horns, I was like, all right, cool. But after that, it's like the score was the same. Like,
it's redundant.
It's redundant. They played the same exact music at every time they're gonna pan to the next scene, or while he's walking through the city to get to his apartment or to Arkham or to wherever he's going. It's just, to me, it sounded like the same exact song. I'm like, if I go back and watch it and if it's different, I'll maybe retract it. But I was like, it's in my first watch, it seemed redundant. Same song, and I was like build at least, because I see the character building, but I don't see the score building. And I think it does have, maybe in part two, like they played the same song. I guess in this film they had the score before the movie, before I think everything was written or something. And so the director would play the score while Joaquin Phoenix was acting, so he can take that into account.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So like, maybe that had to do with it, but like I would still want the score to build as the character's building, just because it's very driven by one character. And then after the third act, the score gets way better because it just introduces like the new music
and stuff like that.
Coming down, and even has more horns and more drums and more violins. I think it goes from like a violin to like a cello. Like, it's just the score builds with it in the third act. Which is the best part of this whole movie. I think that shows like what the Joker truly is.
That has actually been the biggest thing I've ever heard, is the third act.
Yeah,
because like, it gets moving after the third act.
Yeah, because it's like a slow build, and then it just like from the Dark Knight, then he tips, and then bam, and then it's on from there. Another thing that like, I don't know if this is the summer of daddy issues, but like after just watching Ad Astra, it's definitely daddy issues with.
We watched Hustlers.
Daddy issues.
Joker.
Daddy issues. Like, and this one has the same thing. It's like with at one point him thinking that Thomas Wayne is his dad, which is still kind of open. I think, I don't know, it could be in his mind, could not.
I really wish they would have left it all the way open, as opposed to trying to loosely tie it together.
Well, like he's got money, so he could have fabricated
exactly.
He could have fabricated all that, and then it goes back to him not having a dad, and he put all his daddy issues on Robert De Niro's character, because in the beginning he has like a fantasy where he's on the show and he hugs them and he's like, "Oh, I wish you
were my son."
And I was like, that's the first like one of the first into the movie, and I was like, "Is this gonna be a daddy's issue movie?" And I was like, "Yup, that's basically what it is." That's the what else? Man, I'm fucking confused. Oh, and also, it's weird because when Joaquin Phoenix was portraying him at first, he portrayed him kind of like childlike, and I'm like, okay, so he's going for like a more like not all there, which kind of annoyed me because I was like, well, the Joker always knows that what he's doing or what he like. He's not naive.
He's always been portrayed that way. This is the first time where you don't get a chance to see where he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, he's kind of like childlike at one point, and then the other he seems sane and in tune, and then he goes back to childlike. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know if that happens to be because that's how Joaquin thought his mental thing was working or how that worked. Because they say that was it through the trauma he got like head injuries or something through his child abuse, so that's what makes him have that tick and that could affect a lot of things of how you act or behave or whatever. But I was like, it just kept me like in the like.
So along with that, the one thing I didn't mention in mine that really started to bother me after we got through the movie was the tick, the laughing thing. Like it's cool at first, but then you watch 2 hours of this, and it's like the score. Yeah. The score goes from one point to another, and while the score is going, the laughing is going with the score, and it's kind of grating by the time you get to the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's also the thing I kind of I noticed too was the laugh. Like at the beginning, it's a nervous chuckle. Like it's when he got nervous or he was presented with conflict, he would like tense up and laugh. Yeah. And you can tell because he's trying to hide it. Yeah. Because he's like, oh, it's making it worse. It's like when somebody's like gets like when somebody stutters or something, like the more nervous and the more pressure you put on them, they stutter more. And that's how he was using his laugh. And then as his character develops and he gets more brazen with his accent, doesn't care, he now uses it as like a signature. Yeah. Like so now it's almost like he got control of his laugh. And Joaquin Phoenix's laugh is pretty good.
It's probably one of the best Joker laughs, honestly. I'm not gonna sit there. I'm not gonna deny it.
And I've always like Mark Hamill's like that's to me is iconic. Even Heath Ledger's, and he used it more mentally, sadistically, I should say. But his laugh maniacally. And this laugh was more of a tick, but you can tell as later on, like we said, the third act, he has basically control over his laugh, and he uses it better. There, like now he's when he thinks it's funny, it's funny. Yeah, and it's a full body laugh. Like he's not holding back his laughter there. But yeah, those are the only things I really found.
So,
knowing about that.
At the end of the segment, we usually go. We call it the screen or stream it, and so I'm not torn. You should definitely see this in the movie theater. And by the way, by the time we had went, it was already at $95 million for the weekend. So that's pretty damn good. You have to see. I mean, you if you are a movie person, you should see this in the movie theater. But take it for what it's worth, because if you're thinking it's an action movie, it's not. It's not. If you're thinking your kids should be there, they shouldn't. This is an adult movie about an adult man who has a psychotic problem, and you should take that you should take that for everything it's worth, because that's where they want you to take it. Like he's a flawed character. The movie is. Pays attention to it, and you should too. Like, this is more like you definitely should. I mean, but you definitely, if you're a movie person, should watch it in theater. There's definitely a screen it for me.
Yeah, it's definitely psychological. Like it's like I think the most action you see is he gets run over by a car, kind of. That's the most action, or he gets when you see it in the trailers when he's chasing those kids. I think those are the 2 times they needed a stunt double for the whole movie. Yeah. Other than that, it's just acting, and it's like it's not that it drags. It's just a lot of character building. Like you can see his descent. Like it's definitely like more of an artsy film, and that's what they were going with it, which surprised me by the director. Now that we see it, it's very more like if you like character building and you like something that it checks your box where you can see like mental illness has an effect on where he goes from this. If you like more of kind of like an old school feeling, like like if you like 70s, 80s movies, like you definitely like this one. And it's just the overall.
So screening?
Yeah, definitely. You should definitely screen this one.
Right.
If anything, just like I said, that third act alone is definitely worth
the money.
The whole screen, man. And then just like at first, like another things that went back to it, I still do like that they kind of left it ambiguous to where it's coming. Like he's adopted.
Yeah.
He's not neither a Fleck nor a Wayne, unless you divert. And it goes back to like a bunch of stuff like where they're like, where is he from? And then they try to steer you those possibilities like, oh, is he really a Wayne?
Yeah.
Well, he's not a Fleck, he's adopted, and so you don't know where he's from.
I immediately knew they were going to steer towards Bruce Wayne's brother, and I was like, that's smart, I get it.
But then they didn't, and
then they swerve you.
They keep swerving you for fast. Yeah. So I like that ambiguous part. Yeah. And then like it's just he like that when he becomes fully the Joker, I was like, this is when you're like, this is what I want him to be. Because even like when like he fucking puts it, like he uses his own blood just to like
to make smile,
the smile, and it just like accepts that that's who he is.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish they would have just kind of ended it on that note. I do get because I
wanted that to be end right there too.
But I do like
he has to go to Arkham.
And I do like the bloody steps, and then the comedic one where he's dancing and then he runs one way and he's like, oh shit, the cops! Like he's running back and forth.
Gammy got distracted on this one.
Oh yeah, so I'm definitely screaming. Like it's a good movie overall. I like if this had no connection to the DC movie, DC universe or anything like that, this would be an amazing movie just by itself with no connections.
100% agree. If this had nothing to do with the Joker or Batman or any of that canon, the universe, this would be one of my favorite movies of the year, which is still up there. But the fact that it does tie into that, it makes it a screen it, but not as high as I would have preferred it to have been.
Yeah, it comes with the territory. Yeah. Like everybody's gonna have like lit picks on it, and being in the universe, you have to take into account for his backstory.
Yeah,
which they didn't use a lot. They didn't use a lot of comic book like
lore
backs like anything.
All right. So for this next segment, we are using Law-Abiding Citizen, which has Gerard Butler, Jamie Foxx, Colm Meaney, because the basically the running sidekick. Because basically all he does is run with Jamie Foxx trying to stop killing a bunch of people. It was directed by F. Gary Gray, who also did Friday, The Italian Job, and he did something else but I can't remember. This movie is basically a touch on how psychopaths think. So
it's also like it does go by a man kind of falling like at his wit's end and like having nothing to lose and goes kind of dark. It goes vigilante, if you will, and they make you root for him at the beginning. Like I'm rooting for him right when he's doing all the bad stuff. Yeah. And then at one point I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't be rooting for this guy at this point.
Yeah, I got to the steak scene and I was like, okay. I had forgot I watched this movie and I got to the steak scene and I was like, see, you had me, and I understand that that's a bad dude, but I can't condone that you're murdering him with the T-bone steak bone. Like, it's great. It's fantastic. Yeah. It was great to watch, and then from there, it was like, I can't cheer for that guy. He's a bad guy. He's a bad dude.
And you kind of wish that's how the Joker should have went that route.
Yeah.
Like at the end, you're like, oh, I'm cheering for the guy, and then if you keep playing it, you're like, oh, I can't cheer for him. I think that would have been a better way to direction, but obviously I'm not a director, but.
Also, going along with the Law-Abiding Citizen, is more of a drama, kind of slow, not such an action film. But it has action, so they're really similar in certain aspects of it. You don't get the full blown clown, psychotic clown aesthetic of it, but you're going to get a lot of the same qualities in both movies.
Yeah, he does. Though he does plan out most of this stuff, and it all stems from like a tipping point, him losing his family, and as opposed to him losing his family, the Joker gets rid of his family. But that's definitely the tipping point, and then it's just there's no going back. They're fully committed to what they're gonna do, and the similarities are there. That's like when we first thought we'll bring it back to me. I was like, it's kind of like my insist, and that's the first one that popped in my mind, but it happens to be one of my favorite ones too. So like, I'm like,
don't be scared if you don't remember. Go back and check it out. I hear the unedited cut is way better, and I haven't found it yet. But when I go back, I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, I haven't watched the unedited cut.
They said it's a little bit more graphic. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I really like that movie. I think it was a little underrated, but just man, Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler they just
held it down.
At it, yeah.
All right.
But
well,
definitely screen that one or
stream that one. Yeah.
If you can screen it, go for it. You know?
So this is the end of the wrap up. Thank you for watching. If you got it to this point, go to Four Tops No Filters on our Facebook page. Give us a like. Please subscribe.
Subscribe down with the button below. Like, dislike,
leave
tell your
comments.
Friends. Yeah, tell your friends to leave comments. You and your friends can have discussions in our comment bar. It don't matter.
Yeah,
we'll jump in somehow.
Yes, we will respond. And also, we're going to be changing up our backdrop, and we're going to try to we got some things going on for the future. So hopefully you enjoy this. So
yeah, that's our review of this. Like I said, you just definitely screen it. And let us know what you thought. If we were dead on, if we were dead off.
Right?
Like, how could you think that? I was like, I don't know. That's what I thought.
All right. Well, this show is rated MA for movie addicts.
Yeah. Check us out.